All right. So welcome back. More of this shit I do. Today, once again, I don't have Big with me. Very saddening, but hopefully he comes back in the next one. We have big plans coming in the future for what we do here. We're gonna have some big changes come around. I think it's gonna be great. It's gonna be awesome. But I got another person. It's gonna be great. I got Ceph. Ceph, say hi.
Hi there.
It's Ceph.
Nice to be here.
Ain't that great? Ain't that something? All right, so me and Steph's gonna go over it today. Steph's really knowledgeable in the field as well of the monster hunting, and so luckily she decided to agree to come on here. I promise I didn't beg or bribe or anything. So we're going to be talking today about Barroth, first brute wyvern in the series, and I've even got his little icon right there. We're gonna put it on the board, probably somewhere kind of mid or low. That's just prefacing, what I'm seeing so far. So Barroth, so first of all, Barroth is, of course, like I said, we're continuing with our thing of first. I mean, we've already done a brute wyvern before, but this is the first brute wyvern. So, and I honestly had great impressions of Barroth when I first saw him, because I was like, dude, it's like a dinosaur. Like I'd never seen dinosaur like actually looked like a dinosaur. Usually it's dragon looking stuff, and I was like, yeah, it's awesome. But when I first saw him, I was like, dude, they got a dinosaur in here, and the inner child in me really got shook about that. But Barroth is really unique in not just the fact of him being a brute wyvern and being, I'm pretty sure the only one in Try. I might have to double check that. I know he's not the only one in the third gen because that's when Bracky came out too. But um, just the way he is, the way he acts in the world and with the environment, with the mud and whatnot, using it as a weapon, but also as armor, because he's one of the only monsters I know of that has two elemental type weaknesses, which is crazy because you can't really prepare for that. The only way to fully prepare is to have a gun that can shoot two types of ammo, which normally a gun won't shoot fire and water, or you just have to have somebody come with you. But it's really interesting that they would give him two elemental weaknesses, which I really like. You have to have water to get the mud off, and then you gotta have fire, which I don't know understand fully for a desert creature. You think he'd be, you know, I don't know, but that's just my thoughts. I don't know. So I don't know. What are your initial impressions of Barroth?
My initial impressions, honestly, the fire weakness is probably just because he uses the mud as a way to cool off.
Probably, yeah.
Probably a natural mechanism, and that's why he's weak to it.
Little overheating issue. So Barroth's whole thing is Barroth's supposed to be a teacher. He was a teacher in Try of you can't always use the same weapons over and over. Like Try was the point where all the monsters we've seen to that point have been kind of the same, and Try cleaned the slate almost with the save a few monsters. They cleaned the slate, and then they introduced a bunch of new ones. Basarius ended up. I'm pretty sure. I don't think I ever saw Basarius or Gravios in Try. So Barroth was put in place as the teacher of you can't always use a sword. You can't always use a hammer. Sometimes you gotta break down and use a gun. And Try had a bunch of issue with that because Try got rid of a lot of the weaponry. They did add the switch axe, which was fantastic, one of the best things they ever did. But getting rid of the rest of the weaponry was kind of a bit of a problem. But I mean, Barrett's still a really good fight. He's a wall for sure because if you go in there with a sword or a hammer and you just keep going at him, you know you're just not going to get much of anywhere. Usually, taking the gun is the way, but the problem is you can't take the gun very much either because of the fact that Barrow's got the fucking bulldozer charge and he'll just flatten you out. If you try that, but it's a good teaching moment, I think, because it widens and expands your horizons to use different weapons. It encourages you to try a different play style.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that, especially with me starting in a world where he serves the same purpose. This as a teacher of like brute wyverns as a whole, and also that you can't use the same weapons on everything. I remember I started with a few friends. Some of them were playing like other like sharp weapons, and they just could not get past Barrioth at first. They literally had to redefine their whole playstyle around either a blunt weapon or one of the bow guns just to be able to beat Barrioth. Though I would say the teaching moment can be ruined by Sword and Shield if you're stubborn enough.
I had to can my candle there. It was causing frame issues. but
Ah.
but yeah, I brute forced him on try with the switch axe because I was just spamming zero sum discharges and just kept blowing him up. But
You know what? That's fair.
he's a very good teaching moment, and yeah, that is right. He is the one in world because Basarios isn't in world either. What's really weird is Basarios has made it to Rise, but Gravios didn't, which is very odd that you wouldn't include the adult version. But yeah, to each their own, I guess. Capcom does what they want. But yeah, I would say Barroth, not Barroth. Barroth, does a really good job at what he's supposed to do. Honestly, just being I mean, I talked about it in the Brachydios video. I'm also going to talk about this. I'm glad Barroth is only able to be said one way because a little thing I do on this segment is if there's a monster that people are constantly debating about the pronunciations on, I'll say every pronunciation in the same video because I'm either going to make everyone happy or piss everyone off. So I mean, flip of a coin. But luckily, Barroth is not one of those that you can say a different way. It's just Barroth. Brachydios, however, I refused in that video to say his other variation. People like to say Brachydios, and to quote that video,
Oh.
yeah, to quote that video, when I say that word, I want to physically vomit Scrabble tiles. It's fucking awful. I'm not saying it, so.
I
But
just say Rocky because
yeah,
that's simple enough and everyone knows who you're talking about.
exactly. But Brachydios we talked about being a trailblazer because Brachydios is the whole reason we have the blast ailment at all. It's because of him. Um, and Barroth is a trailblazer in and of himself because he's the first of the brute wyvern species, which is very fantastic. I mean, they're wonderful species. I mean, there's so many. A lot of the biggest fan favorite monsters. He's not the only one. I remember now. Deviljo came out and I don't know if it was Try, but he came out in the third gen too. I want to say Try, but a lot of the fan favorite monsters are brute wyverns. You got Deviljo, Brachydios, Glavenus, like Anjanath, even like two of the flagships. Oh no, three of the flags. Yeah, three flagship monsters have been brute wyverns. You've had Brachydios, you've had Glavenus, and you've had Anjanath. They've all been flagship. Well, I don't know if Anjanath counts as a flagship. When you start the game up, I know on the PlayStation when you start the game up, Anjanath's picture's up there. I don't think he's the flagship, but he is definitely
Uh,
a wall.
yeah, he's the first major wall of progression in world.
But I loved it when I saw him. Like, I didn't expect to see him come out of there, and I was like, holy shit, it's a fucking fire-breathing T-Rex. Ah, that's great. We'll get into Anjanath whenever we get to that
Oh yeah.
episode. But a lot of the fan-favorite monsters have always just been brute wyverns, because they're so fucking cool. It's a giant dinosaur that does crazy shit. You got one that breathes fire, you've got one that can breathe explosions and has a sword for a tail. One of them is just a giant angry pickle that can breathe dragon element for some reason. Like it's there's a lot of cool shit. And Barroth being the first of them, I mean Barroth, he may not be as impressive as the rest, but he's definitely got his place, and he suits his role well. He suits his place well. He's at the bottom of the food chain, and that's good. That's fine. He does a pretty good job. Actually, researching for this video was the first time I found out you can cut his tail off. I never knew you could cut it. Every time I've tried to cut off Barroth's tail, it's never come off. Apparently you can cut that bitch off. So
Yeah, that's something I learned from brute forcing.
yeah.
Like you don't expect to be able to cut the tail off, but if you brute force it enough with like a sharp weapon, you can get there eventually.
The problem most of my time is that when I do fight Barroth, it's around the time that any bladed weapon is yellow sharpness and it just won't cut the tail at all. And I don't ever really grind him enough to get to the greens and go back. Cause now I will say in Try, I farmed the fuck out of him because his armor was fantastic in Try. I mean, it was good as shit. But it's still pretty decent. But we'll go over that when we get to those I'm going to be doing a lot of these. I'm going to do these monster ones, and I'm going to do weapons, armor sets, and everything in between.
Ooh.
Items. Oh, it's going to be great. But one step at a time. First, we got to actually make sure I can get these videos out on schedule again, because this and the past one have been off schedule because I have had so much shit going on. But, so, Barroth. Predictions of whether he's going to come back in Wild.
Honestly, I would hope, as much as like he can kind of struggle to do his job as a teacher if with the more stubborn players, he is still decent enough at the job to where I feel like he should be there. That's my personal opinion.
And especially with what we've seen from Wild so far, with it being kind of more desert oriented, like a big, vast open space. I don't know what all biomes are going to be in it, but we've for sure seen a desert at least. Barroth's more likely than not going to be there. Because there's not a lot of creatures that live in the desert that can be of low rank quality to start off with. Like there's Kuluyaku and there's Barroth. I mean, Diablos is not a beginner monster. Rathian's not a beginner
Oh
monster.
no.
There's
Oh
not a
no,
lot that
no.
live out there. Like unless they bring back Cephadrome, I don't really know. I mean, Damio I guess could be a desert starter, but it's it seems like at this point it's more iconic to have Barroth than anything else. Because I mean he's been in Rise as well, right? So like, but
I yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I mean
But
I wouldn't be hurt. I said this in Kieran's video. I wouldn't be hurt
yeah,
personally if he doesn't come back, but if he comes back, hell yeah.
actually, no, I'm pretty sure he's been in every generation. He was in three portable, three ultimate,
Yep, he's in.
Gen ultimate,
Yep,
then world and Sunbreak.
yep. Well, World and Sunbreak are the same gen, but yeah. Yeah, we're in Gen. We're gonna be in
Yeah.
Gen 6. That's crazy. That's crazy to think we're gonna be in Gen 6.
God.
Ugh. But yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be hurt if Barroth doesn't come back, but at the same time, I mean, I kind of think he should come back. I mean, he plays a good role. He plays a good part in the food chain. I mean, I've never seen anything eat a Barroth or hunt a Barroth, but still, like, he's there. He does a good job. Um, and a good teacher, very good teacher. Great beginner armor set if you're trying to make a big tank build.
Very much so. Like,
I can't even remember what skills the armor set gave you in Try. I know it gave you defense boost on top of having defense, but I feel like it had it either had switch. I think I played it because it had switch axe skills. It either had switch axe skills or hammer skills. It was one of the two. But yeah, I don't know. Barroth
I
to me is just he's good. He's not bad. He's not great. He's good. He's all right.
wow, he doesn't even give armor boost in world.
Really? Wow. Shit.
Yeah, um, the like
Shit.
full Barroth armor set gives his guard, stamina thief, marathon runner, muck resistance, and stun resistance.
A stamina
All
thief.
level 1.
Stamina thief's pretty good. All right, let me look up him. I'm gonna look up what his Try armor set gives you. Let's see. What game is this from? The armor set I'm looking at right now for Barroth gives attack up small, adrenaline 1, marathon runner, and -1 crit eye, but I don't know what game that's referencing to. It's just on the plane. All right, hang on. Here we go. This is Barroth's. This is Barroth's high rank armor from 3 Ultimate. But it gives attack up medium, guard 1, defense up small, and raise hunger. So it is a very good tank build, especially if you're going with like a lance. It's pretty fucking decent. I would say Bastarius would make a great gun lance armor. It does. It's great. That ain't great, yes. But now we're gonna get into the nitty gritty, the good part. So out of this board, everyone knows the board. Ceph, this is your first time seeing the board. I tore the board, Ceph. Isn't that lovely? I ripped the board. Anyway, nothing a little tape can't fix. But this is the board, the wonderful board that everyone who watches these videos, all 5 of you, have come to learn and love. Um, so we've got little Barroth here. I'm gonna go ahead and start getting the tape ready to put his ass up on. Where did I put the tape? I just got it in here and I've already lost it. Where the fuck did I put it? Oh my god, Seth, I lost the tape again. I just brought it back in here. Where did I put? I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm actually gonna lose my shit, Seth. I'm gonna lose it. All of it gone. I'm gonna lose it. Seth, talk about Barroth more while I find the tape.
Oh God.
Hurry, Seth. Oh,
Oh
there's the tape.
God. No, I remember having to learn about the slinger ammo when like that. Actually, no. Barroth is an amazing teacher in World because it teaches you about slinger ammo. Oh, it's a mechanic that is mostly like kept to World, but it is a wonderful teacher for it because you have to use that to like expose its body and like make it so you can actually deal decent damage if you're not using a blunt weapon. And even then, you'll still struggle, but
Right. And like
it,
the slinger ammo in and of itself was really cool. I liked that. I liked that mechanic. The clutch claw is god awful garbage, and anyone who
I
defends it
did too.
is.
I would agree with that honestly. Like as
It,
I
I used
I
way too
feel
much
like
tape.
if you're using something like the sword and shield, you could just abuse the absolute shit out of the clutch claw.
My
Like
my biggest
you're
problem
already able to fire slinger ammo.
my biggest problem with clutch claw is that A, certain weapons take 2 hits to do it as opposed to 1. But B, and here's the biggest problem. Here's what the biggest problem I have with it is. We're going to go off on a tangent here, folks. So, before Iceborne came out with the update for the Clutch Claw, people would make builds in base world that would have crit eye, crit boost, everything in between. Because when you hit a monster's weak points, it would do the yellow number. That's your crit damage. And you would get your big numbers out of that. People would make builds to make that the only damage you were doing. So you were constantly dealing crit damage and a shit ton of it. Then they dropped the Clutch Claw. So these builds immediately became obsolete because you have to Clutch Claw the monster, hit the monster, and pray that you don't get thrown off before you hit and do the animation. And then you also have to do it to where every so often it resets and you have to keep doing it, and some weapons take one more hits than others. So that's another big problem, but it just gets to the point where those builds just become obsolete and everybody has to redo their builds now because you just decided that you no longer want it to work the way that it was working. But I don't know, that's just me. That's just how I see it. But anyway, if you got anything else that you want to say about Barroth.
Honestly, like I don't have much more to say about him. He's like he does a good job. He's just kind of basic. Like, and there are teachers later in the game that will still kick your ass. Rabadon and Oregon being some pretty good ones.
Yeah, I forgot that they were that they were in there. They're not exactly very memorable to me. At least Radaban wasn't. Urigan kinda, but Radaban, I mean, I don't know. Watching him get his shit kicked in by a Tigrix, that was pretty cool though.
Oh yeah, see, like the turf wars where Radovan gets his ass kicked. Always a delight to watch.
Oh, I'm talking about the cutscene where Tigrix got showing up in the Rotten Vale, where he just starts wailing on. He just catches him, and it's just like, yeah, I don't care. I'm Tigrix. Everyone loves me. I'm the big bad. So, all right, back to this. So, where exactly would you think? Because I've shown you the rankings as they stand, where everybody's at. Where exactly would you place Barroth in comparison to everyone else on the board?
Just on the merits of like him being a decent enough teacher for mechanics and like any game that he's a part of, I would say me personally mid B. He's not the most memorable monster, but he does a decent job at teaching you that you can't brute force everything.
I could get behind that. So right now, as this stands, we have the way this works is it goes from here across and then down one, and then across, and so in the middle of the middle high ground of B, we have Yain Kutku. So are you putting him in the dead middle of B? Is that what you're trying to go for?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would say dead middle of B.
dead middle B. I would agree because Yain Kutku, as much as his gear is vastly different, everything about him is vastly different, but Yain Kutku, I would say, outplays Barroth because of the fact that he teaches you how to fight flying wyverns, which are the more abundant monster that you face. I'm not saying Barroth's not good. I'm just saying Barroth teaches a niche a little bit more than Kutku does, and Kutku has been around for a while. He's had a lot of time to do this kind of shit. Um, but yeah, I'd say dead set in the middle of B currently is good. And as always, these might change. Wilds could come out, and Wilds is going to come out before I ever finish this fucking series. But Wilds comes out, or if something else new happens with Barroth, we'll move him up or down. Or if you guys leave comments, which no one ever does, I don't know why I bother saying this, but if anybody wants to leave comments as to why Barroth should go up or down, let us know about that too. Because this list is not set in stone. It's actually put on a paper cardboard box, so it's easy to move it around. It's not like I chiseled this out of a rock. So, with that, I'd say we've got ourselves a pretty solid talk over a pretty solid monster. No pun intended, but it's funny. Is there anything else you want to say before we head off?
No, honestly, you've covered it all pretty nicely.
All right.
Like, at
So,
least all the closing thoughts I can think of.
everybody go check out the rest of my channel. Go check out the rest of the Mystic Portal Emporium YouTube channel, where we're going to be posting more stuff about the updates to the D20 core system, and then just the TTRPG community as a whole. Check out my TikTok. Check out Eternal GM's TikToks. Everybody's TikToks. Big's TikTok. Big's YouTube. I know he's mentioned them in a few videos. Ceph, you got anything you want to plug?
Not yet. I'm still working on setting stuff up before I start posting.
Hell yeah. Well, if it's either here or over there, hopefully we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, everybody. Say bye, Ceph.
Bye bye.
Bye.